You're tuning in to the Roundtable, live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific.
Thanks to those joining me live and to those that be joining me, D-Style, here on Archive. I'm being joined by Maestro from Living in the Ring, Joe Habib from Ringside Reporter, Eric Lorda from Ringside Reporter, Christine Lopez from In the Ring with Christine, and Chief Funky, second half of HCP. That is Hispanics Causing Panic. Hit my like button and all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and get this one started. All right off the bat. First of all, okay, Beeb, Maestro, your boy hasn't signed a contract yet. You know what I mean? He ain't fighting nobody yet. But
your boy hasn't signed a contract. Your boy.
No, but let me get this out, though. We still don't have a fight. Every week, it's the same story, right? Any moment now, they're going to sign a contract. Just wait, right?
We don't have a contract. We don't have a contract to sign on our side.
Our side.
Your boy's promoter is the one doing all the talking. Our guy's silent. My guy's guy's Frank Warren in this situation and MTK Global.
Maestro, for all we know, Saudi doesn't even have the money. There's no proof of funds.
True.
We didn't see anything.
Well, let's see what everybody else thinks. Eric, what do you think, man? Still no fight, no Fury versus Joshua. Do you believe this fight's going to happen?
Yeah, 100% it's going to happen. I mean, even if it doesn't go to Saudi, it's going to go somewhere else. This fight's going to happen. Now, will it happen in July or anything like that? That I don't know. Will it happen probably in September? Probably. That fight's happening next. It's next for both guys. Beeb can shake his head all he wants. He has no idea. I'm telling you, this fight definitely, there's too much money tied up into this fight for it.
There's always too much money. There's always too much money.
Oh, wow. Christine, are we going to get this fight? Like, do you believe the thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely think it's going to happen. But I think the issue is right now, I mean, when does Ramadan end? Do we know when it ends? I think that's part of the problem, why we're not going to have it in Saudi Arabia. You know, that's my thing, you know, but I do believe it's going to happen.
It ends in May. It ends in May, Christine. Yeah.
Okay. So I think
like mid to mid-May.
Part of the issue. Okay. So for me, I think that's part of the issue. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay. Hey, Chief Funky, is this fight going to happen, brother? Like, do you believe it's going to happen this year?
Oh, man, I got to be honest with you. I was pretty confident a couple weeks ago. I really don't know at this point, man. We're hearing a lot of good feedback, positive news from one side, and then we're hearing nothing. You know, it's dead, it's gone, and we're going to negotiate with Deontay Wilder again. So I got to be honest with you, man. At this point, I really don't know, man. I've been on record saying this for a long time. If Wilder and Fury get back in there again, like, I'm good with that. I think Wilder deserves a third fight, but I would much rather see undisputed first because I'm a big fan of fighters that go for undisputed. So I'm going to favor that, of course, but will I be mad if it doesn't happen next and then Wilder gets a shot again? No, because I think Wilder deserves a third fight. You know, nobody won the first fight. Fury stops him in the second, so, you know, let's do a third one, man, and see what happens. But honestly, I don't know at this point, man. I hope it does, though.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in, D?
Of course. Go ahead and give me your thoughts while we play the violin. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that I don't think Tyson Fury owes Deontay Wilder any more of a rematch than Lewis owed Holyfield rematches after their two fights.
Agree.
The first fight was a disputed draw, which actually should have been a win. in both cases for Lewis and for Tyson Fury. And the second fight was a clear victory. In fact, Fury's fight was more of a clear victory than Lennox's fight was a clear victory in the rematch with Holyfield, because it was a convincing KO after just getting destroyed on the part of Wilder multiple rounds, round after round. So I don't really need to see it. To be honest, I'd much rather see Andy Ruiz against get a shot if he comes through his fight next. Because as much as I'd like to see him fight Joshua, I don't see Joshua giving him that title fight because of what happened the first time.
This is weird talking about this fight, and I think I'm looking at Deontay Wilder up there, man. Look at this guy, you know.
Hey, Beeb, go ahead. Give us your thoughts on this, and before we move on.
I'm sorry, the fight's dead. I found out.
Like, wait, I get being skeptical. Like, you lost hope. He lost hope.
I found out Wednesday the fight is 100% dead.
Oh my gosh, who told you that?
It's dead. The fight is dead.
Brother, that's who told him that. Nobody told him that.
You guys, Eric, you can't wish things into existence.
A
Okay?
source told them.
This isn't freaking the Cinderella story. You can't wish things into existence. I wish I will. Can't happen, Daddy.
Yo, I get being skeptical, Beeb. I get that.
I'm not skeptical.
You lost hope. This isn't skeptical. This isn't like questioning. This is hope.
This is finite right now. This is finite. It's finite. The fight's not happening. Strap yourself in for Fury Wilder 3. It's happening.
Oh, no.
Okay,
strap yourself in.
How about this? Will Fury Joshua fight at some point
next year?
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Next year, not this year.
I can deal with that.
Fight's dead.
Hey, Maestro, give me 3 other fighters other than Joshua that would be better opponents for Fury than Wilder.
I mean, you're putting me on the spot right here, but
Yeah.
why don't we start with King Charles Martin? We'll go with Joseph Parker and maybe Derek Chisora. You know, we all want to see Derek Chisora Tyson Fury 3, right?
Mm-hmm. Do we?
No, in all seriousness, it's either
That's
Andy
awesome.
Ruiz or Deontay Wilder, and that's it, really. I mean, I'd like to see him against Joe Joyce personally, but that's obviously not as big of a fight. But money-wise, yeah, you got to go with Tyson Fury versus Wilder for sure. But I'd rather see Fury Joshua without a doubt.
I think Fury's in a better situation than Joshua because Joshua is going to fight Usyk in a fight that no one cares about, and Wilder Fury 3 will definitely garner some interest if they threw that in Vegas, right? With no restrictions.
People care about Joshua Usyk. Come on now. What do you mean nobody cares about it?
Yeah, there's a couple people like D-Style, and D-Style, but no one else really cares about that fight.
No. Not outside of the UK.
G, what fight you like better? What fight you like better? Usyk Joshua or Wilder Fury 3?
I would take Wilder Fury 3.
Yeah. G's an intelligent man. I always said he was.
I don't think Usyk is a real heavyweight at this point.
I don't either.
Man.
I don't know. And after seeing, no disrespect to Usyk, after seeing that fight with Chisora, does anyone really believe that he's legitimate at a heavyweight?
No, nobody believes that. But we're gonna go ahead and
definitely highly skilled, but he's undersized. And the thing is, he doesn't have the punching power that David Haye or Evander Holyfield did.
What about Double J? Joe Joyce the Warrior. Joe Joyce
That's a good one. I like Joe Joyce.
ain't nobody call him Double J. Just make that up.
The Juggernaut.
Yeah, call him Double J. That's
You got to find this song on YouTube.
We
it's
talk.
Hot, the Juggernaut.
We talk.
Jeff Jarrett, Double J.
Double J.
Yeah, what?
J-E-double-R-E.
Double J.
Okay. Anyway, look, guys. That's the update of the week. The fight still isn't happening. Okay, and we're past that deadline. Remember, they had a deadline for this fight. We're past that.
Hey, I got a question. I got a question for my man Joe Habib, man. What do you think of your boy Coppinger, man? We're out there saying sources say it's done, man. Next week, bro.
I'm actually putting putting a word into the FCC to get him censored.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hey, really quick, Sonteo Media, the GOAT, Andre Rodriguez, Maestro in the chat as well, A-Rod in chat, Ignorant Boxing. All you guys, shout out to you. Share this on all your social media platforms. Let's get this roundtable started. Katie Taylor is going to be facing Natasha Jonas. I'll be honest, when they announced this fight, to me, it just seemed like just another routine fight for Katie Taylor. I think Jonas is a worthy opponent, but I just don't think she's going to beat her. But to my surprise, a lot of people that I've seen online are picking Natasha to not only win, but to stop Katie Taylor. Because they're talking about her power and all this other stuff. She's moving up in weight, and she's fighting who I believe is easily top 2, top 3, pound for pound, best female fight in the world. But I want to know what you all think. Maestro, who's going to win this fight?
I can see a scenario where Jonas does win. Most of her wins have come by knockout. Not like one-punch knockouts, but TKO knockouts. Where people, there's a bit of an echo. I'm not too sure where that's coming from. But she does have punching power for sure. And a lot of people look at that fight with Terry Harper, which was her last fight where she got the draw. That really should have been a win in a lot of people's eyes. And she comes from a great gym. For those of you who don't know, Gallagher's gym, great gym in Liverpool. Merseyside is where she's from. It's a very tough area. And I say that, next thing you know, you're going to find some English wrestler and use his voice and say that it's me. But yes, Liverpool, Merseyside, very tough area. She's a good fighter. She's got punching power. And what people saw in Katie Taylor's fight with Persoom, the Dutch fighter, is that she's not invincible by any means. She's a good fighter, but far from unbeatable. So I can definitely understand why people are giving Natasha Jonas a shot. Joe Gallagher's her trainer. She comes from a great gym. She's got punching power throughout her record. So I can see it.
All right. Beep, who's going to win this fight, brother?
It's hard to go against Katie Taylor, but I will say from a entertainment standpoint, I think it's going to be a great fight to watch because Natasha Jonas, she's not afraid to engage. She moves very well. She's got very quick feet. That's her greatest asset, the way she moves. She'll punch and she'll get out of the way real quick. She doesn't stand there. On occasion, she will stay in the pocket and trade, but when she's on her game and she's fighting a comprehensive fight as she should, she throws her combinations and moves out real quick. And she's really good at circling her opponent and not staying center line. Katie Taylor, on the other hand, though, is great at cutting off the ring. She's phenomenal at throwing feints. She knows how to freeze people. She knows how to feint her way in. She knows how to negate a lot of movement when she gets inside and rips to the body on people. So this is going to be a very, very exciting fight. But I actually think Katie Taylor is going to get a stoppage in this fight, probably around the 7th or 8th round. So I'm going to go with Katie Taylor. But it's going to be fun to watch, and it's going to be interesting while it lasts. I will say that.
Well said. Well said. G Funky, talk to us. How do you think this fight's going to go?
I think it's going to be a good fight, man. Taylor, she's very skilled. She's one of the best women fighters in the game right now. I was impressed with Jones when I seen her against Harper. I thought Harper was going to beat her pretty easily, but man, she's tough. She could fight, man. So she's like one of those, one of those fighters. You can't overlook her, even though she might be, like, in my opinion, she's a little bit limited as far as like the technical stuff goes. But she makes up for that, for being tough and having a lot of heart. So those are the type of fighters that you just cannot overlook. You got to make sure that you're ready to go. And I think it's going to be a pretty good fight. But I'm going to favor Taylor in this one. But you just never know when you got a fighter like that. So I'm looking forward to this one.
Well said. Well said. And Christine Lopez making her way back to the round table. Talk to us about this matchup. Is she going to knock out Katie Taylor?
No, she's not. But you know what? I love this matchup. I mean, both of these girls have an amazing amateur background. They fought each other in the 2012 Olympics. They both have an extensive background. They're both very skilled. They have all the fundamentals. So to me, this is like the matchups that we want to see. Katie Taylor. So our coach, Billy Walsh with Team USA, he was one of the national coaches back whenever Katie was coming up through the amateurs, and he's now our coach. And I see so many things that he teaches our guys and us and everything. And I just like watch some of our amateur fights. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's amazing that we get to like learn from this man. So I see all of her her techniques, her tricks, everything. She's not just a boxer; she's a boxer puncher. And I think Natasha, actually, she beat Natasha in the Olympics. But Natasha is a great boxer. But I think that Katie Taylor is more of a puncher. I think that this is a good matchup because they're both boxers. The only time that Natasha did lose was to Viviane. I believe that was her name. And the girl was wild. I don't know if y'all saw that fight. It was very unorthodox. The girl was, yeah, when you saw her, you're like, who is this girl? They just like picked her up. You know, no disrespect to her, but that was the only time that she got out of her element. So this is a great matchup, but I have to totally go with Katie Taylor 100%.
All right, well said, well said. In the ring with Christine, I will go to Eric Lorda from Ringside Reporter. How do you see this matchup, brother?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I don't. I'm not big on women's boxing as far as like watching all of them and everything. Oh, shut up, Beeb. But I do know Katie Taylor. I do follow Katie Taylor. I think Katie Taylor wins this fight. I don't know a whole lot about Jonas, but I think Katie Taylor wins this fight for a real simple fact. The fact is, listen, there's a lot of money tied up in Katie Taylor. There just is. They're not going to put her out in front of anybody that dangerous right now. Not before she gets a huge money fight. That's just the way it is, man.
Well said, Tony Boswell. Says, much respect, D-Style Boxing and the panel. Mr. Fides was sick. Better now. Hit the like button and feel free to subscribe. Absolutely. We appreciate the support. Thank you very much, brother. Look, I think, let me tell you something. I think Katie's going to win this fight. I think she's going to outclass Jonas. And I think Jonas is going to have a hard time landing clean shots on Katie Taylor. All right. I know Katie Taylor gets criticized for having, bad defense, but I just think Pursoon was a bad matchup for her, or a good matchup for us. They made for great fights, and it's going to be those fighters that just find a way to hit you. And I think that's what Pursoon was. I just don't think Natasha's going to be finding home much in this fight, and people are underestimating, Katie Taylor's boxing ability. I think she's going to outclass her, and I think it's going to go 10 rounds. Unfortunately, just 2 minutes, Christine. I don't know what that's about with you women, but that's all we're going to have, and that is that. Okay?
Can I ask you something, D-Style?
Yes.
When's the last time you've seen a B fighter beat an A fighter in the UK by unanimous decision? It just doesn't happen. So, I mean, Katie Taylor's going to win unless she gets knocked out.
Is that 100%?
That's 100%. The only time a B fighter beats an A fighter in England is when a B fighter knocks the other guy out. Did you guys all see the David Adeleye fight last weekend? I mean, dude clearly lost. Yeah, I mean, he lost, but they gave him the victory. So we've seen it before. We'll see it again. This is the way things operate, not just there, but here. So she's definitely brought in to lose, but I anticipate she'll put up a good fight.
Scorecards are filled out already?
What was that?
Scorecards are filled out already?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean,
I don't even think that's necessary in this fight. I mean, at the end of the day, look, Katie Taylor's a really good boxer. And for someone to break her down and stop her, it's going to be very difficult. They only got 2 minutes, and they only got 10 rounds.
Yeah. I think Taylor's going to win by knockout. I think Taylor's going to stop Jonas.
Yeah.
She's been stopped before.
Yeah.
You know what I know for sure? I'm going to have a drink out of this, Oseki. That's what I know for sure. You know what I mean? So that's that, right? If the chat wants to update us on the NFL draft, please do so. All right. Much appreciated.
Just went first.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go.
Jacksonville. Yeah, I went to Jacksonville.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have Eric update us here.
Bengals coming up soon, number 5.
There you go. There you go. So in the UK, we're going to have another matchup. And I'll be honest, this is another one that when it was announced, I said to myself, yeah. I'm going to have another matchup. Okay, I got an echo, guys. I know that this is another one that when it was announced, I said to myself, what's that? That me? No. Anyways, Derek Chisora, Parker, that fight, all right? Well, when it was announced, I said to myself, yeah, Parker's got this. You know what I mean? But a lot of people are picking Derek Chisora to win. So maybe I'm just missing something here. I don't know. So let's start. Chief Fucky, talk to us. What do you got in this fight, Parker versus Chisora?
Going Parker. I think Chisora is done, man. I know everybody's, happy and hyped for War Chisora, but I don't see much war in that guy past 4 rounds anymore. He goes out there and tries to get his guy out quickly. And if that doesn't happen, then, he's dead tired. He's exhausted the rest of the fight. So I don't see him sparking Parker. I mean, I know it's heavyweight boxing and anything can happen, but I don't see that happening here. I think Parker's good enough to avoid that big shot early and look for Chisora to be tired by rounds 5, 6, and Parker should take over from that point. So I'm rolling with Parker.
All right, there we go. Hey, Maestro, talk to us. How do you see this matchup going, brother?
I agree with G Funky. I've got Parker winning. I see him using the jab. He's been doing a lot of work with Andy Lee, and from what I've heard from Andy Lee has got him shifting his weight from his front foot to his back foot. Andy Lee was saying that he pretty much only fought off the front foot before and that he wasn't leveraging much in terms of power and using his legs as he punched. So that's going to be big. They're working on punch technique. That's going to help as well. And what Andy Lee's is really working on with him didn't really show itself in the breakfast for any of you guys who saw the breakfast where he had breakfast right across from Derek Chisora. It was very awkward. He didn't really present as a confident guy that was going to knock somebody out, which is what you would like to see in your heavyweight. But I believe in the training of Andy Lee. I think he's done well. And he's analyzed a lot of things that I felt were always true about Joseph Parker. He said his 2 biggest weaknesses are that he's lazy and that he's too nice and that he doesn't use his punching power. That's actually 3 things. In terms of Derek Chisora, what he reminds me of is probably the most overrated fighter of my era, and that's Mike Tyson. He gets fights because of his mouth and because of his aura, and not because of his results in the ring. Mike Tyson lost pretty much any time he stepped up to the plate and fought somebody in their prime who was a live body who wasn't afraid of him. Guess what? Derek Chisora pretty much loses anytime he steps up, fights a guy that's a live body, that's in his prime, and that isn't afraid of him. I see that replaying itself here. The talk only gets you so far. Ask Kevin McBride, ask Danny Williams, okay? And you can ask a number of people that Derek Chisora fought, most recently a cruiserweight that has clearly not carried his power to the heavyweight division. So he talks a great game. He's very entertaining. He's charismatic. He's all of those things. But he's the British Mike Tyson.
All right. I don't know how to feel about that statement, but
Mike Tyson trash talk. I love it, man. I love it.
But
actually,
okay.
maybe that's too harsh because he probably would beat Danny McBride and Danny Williams. So apologies. That may be too harsh for Derek Chisora.
Prime Tyson would eat this dude alive, brother. Yeah,
when was Tyson's prime? Because
apparently he was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
So apparently it wasn't when he was in his late 20s, around 30 or in his early 30s, which is typically the prime for heavyweight. Apparently Mike Tyson's prime.
He's not a typical fight. Come on, brother. You know Tyson's better than Chisora. You know this. I don't have to.
I don't.
Do we need to have a debate? We know Tyson's better than Chisora.
I actually don't know that. I don't know that a 30-year-old Mike Tyson beats a 30-year-old Derek Chisora. I don't know that. Look at who he's lost to.
I
don't know that.
I think Wilder. Maestro's got a
30-year-old Tyson. Do it. Look at the record.
Look, Wilder. Look, Maestro. Okay, like we're not gonna have this discussion on who's better, Mike Tyson okay, or Chisora. We're not going to have this discussion.
In their primes.
Straw man argument. It's a straw man.
Come on now. Eric, save us. I mean, talk to us about Chisora Parker and how you see this matchup.
I think that G Funky broke it down perfectly. I think that Chisora might give him trouble for the first 3, maybe 4 rounds. After that, he's going to gas, and I don't think he knocks him out. I don't think Parker knocks him out. I think Parker takes him to a decision. I think it's a unanimous decision. I think it's an easy unanimous decision for Joseph Parker.
Well said. Rome is going far, bro. He's saying Mike would beat Chisora right now, he said. Right, to take it a step further. All right?
He couldn't beat Roy Jones.
I thought he beat Roy Jones. I thought he beat Roy Jones.
Come on.
Bad decision.
He didn't knock him out. He didn't knock him out. What happened?
Roy Jones was running all night. You know how it is.
Come on, give us one bomb squad. Come on now.
Bomb squad.
Hey, Christine. That
was perfect.
Now the question, Christine, you probably forgot the question because it's Chisora better than Tyson. The question is Chisora going to beat Parker?
I am going to be a lone ranger. I am. Okay, so I think that Parker has terrible defense. He takes too many punches. Yes, he's tough. He gets dropped. He can take a punch. He gets back up. Blah blah blah. Whatever. After a while, that just takes a toll on you. I don't care who you are. It takes a toll. Chisora, yes. Does he get tired? Yes. He's very unorthodox. He keeps coming. He walks you down. You wonder, does he switch? No. He just throws his right hand as his lead, his backhand every now and then. He's squared up. Yes. But I'm gonna go with Chisora on this fight. I'm gonna be the Lone Ranger, and then we'll talk later.
Okay, I see. Okay, all right. Beeb. I mean, first of all, what do you mean? He's gonna come out to the hoo-sa-ha, and all that. They're gonna intimidate this dude, right? But Beeb, what do you think? Who's gonna win this fight?
Well, here's the thing. People talk about Chisora fading late, but Parker starts very slow, gives away a lot of early rounds. To me, he seems complacent in there sometimes. He just seems to, if you don't bother him, he's not going to bother you. He just lays back a lot. And for a great portion of the round, he just stays on the outside and probes with the jab. And it's kind of weird that he does that because he's got a pretty decent inside game. He showed some flashes of that against Joshua. But Chisora just starts fast. And I could see Chisora winning a lot of the early rounds. I could see him being up on the scorecards early. And maybe he fades late, maybe he doesn't. But the question is, will he have enough rounds in the bank? Because Chisora likes to close the gap. He likes to get inside. And, Parker may be backing up a lot. And a lot of times when one guy's coming forward, making the fight, another guy's backing up, and there's not a lot of landed punches, the guy who's coming forward is going to win the round because of effective aggressiveness. And of course, Chisora is going to be in the UK. So he's going to get the benefit of doubt in those types of situations where he's pushing Parker back. And maybe Parker may be not being forced back, but he may go back on his own volition because he's trying to set traps. But if he's not throwing punches while he's trying to set those traps, if Chisora is getting down low and the shots aren't really landing, and they're sailing over his head or they're grazing on top of his head, and he's getting inside and he's going to be aggressive like he was in the Usyk fight, right? Where he won a lot of those early rounds. And you could argue that fight could have even been a draw, really. But that being said, if you look at the odds in this fight, I know the odds aren't the telltale to everything. Parker's a minus 175 and Chisora's a plus 150. So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like the fact that Parker's so light. He looks very light in this fight. I think he looks a little bit too light. That tells me he could be manhandled a little bit on the inside. He could be forced back. He could be bullied a little bit. Chisora looks fit, but he doesn't look like he's stripped down. He doesn't look like he's lost a lot of muscle. Parker looks like he's lost a lot of quality mass to me. He looks a little bit too light to me. I don't like how he's approaching this fight. He looks a little bit too laid back. He doesn't seem like because this is kind of do or die for both guys. he doesn't have that. Doesn't seem like he's bringing that mentality to this fight.
Did you see the breakfast?
Let me finish. Let me finish the breakdown, then you can chime in. So, I think that I'm going to be with Christina. I think Chisora can eke out a close decision based on his activity, his aggression, and on the fact that I don't like the fact that Parker kind of is complacent in there. He goes into these lulls and he starts slow. So I could see Chisora grinding out, a close decision here. I'm going to go with Chisora. I'm going to go with the underdog in this fight.
Hey, before the next person goes, I just wanted to show. I mean, this is all they gotta do, bro, and Chisora will be motivated to not only win but dominate. Okay, this is it right here. All right, come on, Parker. Whoa, kick his ass, Parker. Man, Chisora's gonna be scared after this, bro. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, if they do this to Chisora, it's over, brother.
Well, I agree with Joe. He wasn't exuding confidence at all in that breakfast. He didn't seem like he was very motivated, really. But that maybe that's his demeanor, maybe it's not. But if you, that's why I asked you if you saw the breakfast, Joe.
No, I saw it. Yeah, I definitely saw it.
Isn't that kind of the vibe you got off of it?
Well, that's not only the breakfast, the press conferences, everything. He just doesn't.
Man, all that don't matter. But we'll get to you, Maestro. We'll get to you. Hold on now. Hey, Christine, who's gonna win this matchup?
Yes.
Who's gonna win between Chisora and Parker?
She already said.
Oh, you already gave me.
I thought I answered that.
My bad. You're right.
Did my computer freeze? Like
no. My brain froze. My brain froze. Actually,
you picked Chisora. I remember.
I need the SIM card for my brain.
Ranger.
Got it.
I'm with Christine. I'm with Christine.
Yeah,
Thank you. So Joe and I are together, and y'all four are together.
But check it out. I just need to say this. This whole demeanor and how somebody acts and it very rarely doesn't matter. It very rarely matters. Okay, everybody was saying, "Oh, this Andy Ruiz guy, he looks too happy to be there," and that's when he beat AJ. Okay, oh look at Manny, he's driving a Mercedes. That's how you guys sound right now.
You may have a point, D-Style. I mean, at the end of the day, it didn't work against Kevin McBride or against Danny Williams, so maybe it won't work. Maybe it won't work against Parker.
In a close fight, I think it means. In a close fight, I think it means something.
Let me tell you something. Nobody with a brain and with the right mind and their faculties all intact actually would rate or rank Chisora above Mike Tyson. Nobody. Okay. Because
I don't rank him.
He couldn't beat Trevor Burbick, brother. He couldn't even beat that dude. Okay.
You mean the Canadian Trevor Burbick? The Canadian Trevor Burbick?
Yes, that Trevor Burbick. Yes.
Okay.
When the heavyweight division mattered and it was actually it was just had better quality fighters than they do today, absolutely Mike Tyson fought better opposition and beat better opposition.
Of Canada.
What about in the 90s, D? Or are we just erasing that period of his career?
No, but I'm just saying we're comparing him to Chisora now, okay? But with that said, okay. Andy Ruiz versus Chris Arreola. Let's start with you first, Eric. Talk to us. How do you see this matchup, brother? The Destroyer against the Nightmare.
First of all, I can't believe they made this matchup. This is a one-sided fight. It doesn't belong on pay-per-view. It's not a close fight. It's not even, I don't even know why there's odds on this. There's no way Arreola's beating this guy. None. Andy Ruiz, even if he's lost a step, it's not going to matter. Chris Arreola should not be in there. My opinion, just my opinion. He's not going to. I don't think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be a squash match, like one of the old WWF squash matches. This is a runover, and I'm not big on the pay-per-view card either. I don't think it's a pay-per-view worthy fight. I don't think it's a pay-per-view worthy card.
It's not a good card.
No, not at all. Not at all. Wow. So.
Eric, my man, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
The over under 6.5. You taking over or under?
6.5 people buying or 6.5 rounds?
6.5 rounds.
6.5 rounds.
People buying.
I think it goes under. I think Ruiz stops him. I think Ruiz stops him early. I think Ruiz stops him.
Eric, I got the memo wrong because I thought you were hosting the house party of all house parties in Ohio for this fight.
But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
not for this
son.
fight. You know,
But no, I got it wrong. It's Daniel Dubois Danu, right? That's the fight
who's
party.
Dubois? That's the guy who quit against Joe Joyce, right? That's the guy. Okay, the guy who quit versus Joe Joyce getting a title shot. We'll host that party. Yeah, we'll do that.
I love it, man. I love it. You're on mute, brother.
All right. Arreola Ruiz, Beeb. Who do you got winning that fight?
I feel bad for Arreola in this fight, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. I mean, he's a plus 800 going up against a minus 2,500. It's. I understand Ruiz has been off for a while and he needs a fight to get back in the swing of things, but when Arreola gets knocked out, he gets knocked out. You know what I mean? Like, it looks bad. And this has the potential to be another train wreck for Arreola. And I mean absolutely zero disrespect to Arreola. Arreola is a very likable person. You know, and that's why I'm concerned. I don't want to see the guy get hurt. He's got a beautiful family.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't want to see the guy get hurt. I just hope he doesn't get hurt. That's all I'm saying. I just think these guys are going in totally different directions. Ruiz's hands are so much more faster than Arreola's. Arreola is very wide with his shots. Ruiz can sneak some shots through that very wide, porous defense of his. It's got the recipe for a real ugly knockout for Arreola. And like Eric said, it's not a bad card. It's a really bad card. It's a really bad card. It's not a good card at all. It's really bad.
Okay, all right. Christine, talk to us, Christine. Are you going to be the odd one out again?
No.
Chris Arreola, the nightmare.
No, I'm not a fan of like expedition fights, or whatever. But it's like I wish they would kind of like make an agreement beforehand and be like, let's just do like an expedition. Let's just like get the rounds in or whatever. Because I don't want to see Chris hurt either. Because I know Andy's been training and he's like getting himself together. He's got to bring himself back up, and this is a good fight for that. Do I want to pay for it? No, I don't. Like I don't think it's pay-per-view worthy. I do like that Gabe Rosado is on the card. I think that he has been like screwed his whole career. I think he's a lot more talented than he gets credit for. But the rest of the undercard is just like, I'm not interested. It's not pay-per-view worthy. But yes, absolutely, Andy Ruiz is gonna win. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Man, oh man. Hey, Chief, fucking talk to us. I know you're a big fan of Nightmare. I know you said he's going to give Ruiz all types of nightmares. So talk to us. How Chris Arreola's going to win. I know you're the upset guy. Everybody listen to Chief Funk. He's going to break down how this upset's going to happen. Go ahead, Chief Funk.
War Arreola. No. I'm just kidding, man. Nah, man, he's had it. He's through. He's past his prime. He's on his way out. 1 foot in the boxing grave. And this is just a tune-up for Andy Ruiz. He's been out of the ring a long time. He's got himself in tremendous shape, and he's in there with a new trainer. So, I think the odds makers, man, they got something here, man, with this 6.5. I think it might go around 6. I don't think he's going to go out there and try to finish him quickly. I think they're going to go out there and test some things out. Do a test drive under this new training camp with Reynoso. So I think there's going to go around 6 or 7, something like that. I honestly, I don't think the card's that bad. I mean, I know the main event is definitely not pay-per-view at all. But I like Abel Ramos and Figueroa. I like that fight. I want to see the Fondora kid, the 6'6", 154-pound guy. I want to see him in there. But I might be the odd guy out again. But I'm buying this fight, man. I'm buying it. I got to see it. I got to see what happens. I can't help myself. Right around the time, an hour or so before the fight starts, I start to get that junky itch. Like I can't help myself. I need my fix. I need my boxing fix. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to buy it, and I expect Andy Ruiz to get him out of there at some point. But I don't think it's going to be too early. I really think they want to see how he does. losing all the weight and with all the new stuff that he's been learning down there with the Reynosos.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, well said, Maestro. I know you're the one that's going to pick the nightmare, right?
Well, first off, I got to give Chris Arreola a hell of a respect because he provided me with many, many fights of great entertainment as a boxing fan. I got to commend him for his toughness in the ring, especially in the Klitschko fight, 100%. And I got to tell you, this Chris Arreola beats a 2003 Danny McBride and the 2004 Danny Williams and Kevin McBride. This version of Chris Arreola does that. This version of Chris Arreola knocks out Danny Williams in 2003 and Danny McBride in 2004. Tell me
you done?
I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Are you done throwing shots at Tyson?
I didn't say Tyson. You said Tyson.
Well, we know the connection.
I didn't say Tyson at all. Now, having said that, he's going to get destroyed by Andy Ruiz. This was a bad fight. I said it from the beginning. I'm an Arreola fight. I'd like to see Arreola get into training. I think he would be a good boxing trainer. Definitely as the kind of coach that's motivational and kind of brings out that extra last little bit, that extra 5% of a boxer. His heart is unquestioned. Honestly, he's a very engaging guy. He's a very charismatic guy. I would love to hear him on a podcast. If he did a podcast of boxing, a shout out to HCP. But at this stage of his career, he should not be messing with a guy who's in like the championship level of heavyweight boxing. It's not good for him. If he couldn't get past Kaunaki and was eating those bombs from Kaunaki, and that happened right here in New York, in Brooklyn, he's going to be eating much faster punches, much more accurate punches, and much stronger punches from Andy Ruiz, especially Andy Ruiz 3.0, because Andy Ruiz 1.0 beat AJ. Andy Ruiz 2.0 ate himself out of the heavyweight championship of the world. But Andy Ruiz 3.0, I'll tell you what, Eric, tell me I'm lying, bro. Doesn't he look good in these training videos?
He does. You know what I was surprised about, though, is that he's lost less than 30 pounds. He looks like he's lost about 50 or 60 pounds in like the videos and stuff like that, but he's lost less than like 30 pounds.
He's lost fat,
yes,
but he's retained muscle.
Okay.
It's all about
good.
body.
Yeah.
It's all about body composition.
It's all body.
The weight is still high,
Absolutely.
but the muscle to fat ratio, woo, that's super in his favor now. Whereas before, he was walking around carrying around a hell of a lot of titty fat, belly fat, face fat.
Whoa.
Am I lying?
Hey, listen, I was fat shaming him, Joe. Maestro.
I mean, I saw the rematch on.
Can't say the T word with a female present.
I saw.
I think Wilder's trying to make a fight. That's what he's doing. Wilder's trying to make a fight with Ruiz right now.
You got to show respect to the female on the panel. You can't use the T word.
Let me honest.
He's gone from a.
Stop talking about those things.
He's gone from an E cup to an A cup. I'm giving him a lot of credit.
What's the matter with you people? No, but in all seriousness, though. Hey, there's Joe Calzaghe right there. You see that? Joe Calzaghe right there. Right?
The greatest of all times.
Yeah, and you had an alliance with Haplotype, but you've ruined it. But with all the attacks on his favorite heavyweight, Mike Tyson. So you know right now, okay. But check this out, man. Look, I'm wearing Andy Ruiz shirt. You know why I have this? You know why I own this shirt, right? Because I said, my big mouth on YouTube said that if he beats AJ, I'll buy some merch of Andy Ruiz, and then he beat him, right? So here I am. I still have the shirt. Okay,
you did the right thing.
I did the right thing. It's a nice shirt, though. It's really nice. Isn't it a nice shirt? You know,
I think it's a beautiful shirt. I'm going to buy one right now.
But here's my thing, man. I was watching a documentary of Yokozuna, right? Yokozuna, great talent in the ring. You know, But then like WWE took him to he was gaining too much weight, right? They took him to a facility to lose weight, and he gained weight at the weight loss facility because they were sneaking in KFC for the dude. Now
he was eating buckets and chicken at the weight loss clinic.
Him and Vader kept losing the weight, and then they would get bigger than ever. And they would lose weight and get bigger than ever, right? It was an eating disorder, and it's really serious. I think Andy Ruiz has one, okay? I think it's going to look good for this fight. I think it's and look, I get it. Look, the right thing to say and the politically correct thing to say is I feel bad for Chris. Hey, nobody forced Chris Arreola to sign on the dotted line. Hey, nobody forced Chris Arreola to get in the ring. Okay, nobody forced him to do it. You want to go in there, you're going to take a beating. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Right? It's gonna beat him like a speed bag, bro. Okay? It's gonna be beating him up like I'm telling you right now, it's gonna be a massacre.
This is not a joke.
Arreola will go out in 5. Okay, 5th round or less. So take the under is what I'm telling everybody right now.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course. I'm going to pull a beef and say, hold on, let me finish my breakdown, and then you could speak. Okay? But go ahead. Ask me the question.
Well, I respectfully asked if I can ask a question. So you were fat shaming this guy a month ago. Now you're coming to the realization after I told you that he had an eating disorder and it wasn't nothing to laugh at. Now you want to be serious about it. I think you lost a couple sponsors. That's why you're backtracking.
D-Style is rough, man. He's rough on Andy, bro. He's like a old school Chicano.
You were just tearing this guy apart. You were saying,
I said I'm motivating him to take it serious. And you know what he said? That D-Style said I was going to be a fat. No, I'm going to prove him wrong. And it worked.
You were ready to padlock his refrigerator. Now all of a sudden you realize
I don't need to do that. Reynoso's already done that, bro.
Okay.
I was trying to tell you.
He's
I was trying to tell you this. Go ahead, G.
He's one of those Mexicans that sees a guy who was fat, losing weight, like, orale, man, that vato's hitting a pipa or something, eh? Like, hey, something ain't right here, eh?
After I told you this was a serious problem, now you're coming to the realization that he has a disorder.
Well, HCP and D-Style specifically lost about 3 or 4 bra sponsorships with Andy Ruiz losing his weight.
Wow.
Maybe that's what it is.
Please, Amilcar. So
come on. Hey, come down there, Wilder, right?
But now you understand it's a serious problem.
No, I've always understood that. I've never not understood that.
You were making light of it a month ago, though.
No. I still let me tell you something.
You were making a lot of.
You didn't hear what I said. I clearly said he's going to look good on this fight, and he's showing a pattern of behavior. Okay.
I know, but we have to be in his.
If he doesn't go back to his pattern of behavior, then we got to give Reynoso a lot of credit. Okay.
Well, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
He has gone back. He has lost weight and then put it back on again. He has yo-yoed. That is that. But that's part of the, that's
what Aram said about him. Yeah, that's what Aram said about him.
That's part of the problem. You can look at his box rec and you can see how the weights were up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So we got to be in his corner. We can't make fun of him. Can't make fun of him. You know what we need? We need a sports psychologist, maybe a hypnotist or a therapist involved.
Get him Klitschko. Is he Klitschko like a sports psychologist?
We need a sports psychologist.
Yes.
What about Weight Watchers?
We don't need you fat shaming him, okay? That's not going to help.
Tacos. They're too good.
It's help. Well, we don't need Eddie Hearn sending them tacos to his hotel.
We don't need you dangling things in front of his face like
you saw what Eddie Hearn did, okay? And Ruiz looked pretty decent, okay, going into that fight. We have the pictures that he took with Hunter. They went to Saudi Arabia, and Eddie Hearn was sending them like trays, bro. Like carts that needed wheels to his hotel room, and he's like, "Oh, look, the Saudi prince wants you to show him how to eat tacos, Andy."
Yeah,
he's got to go plant-based.
Oh yeah,
he's got to go plant-based. I don't know. I mean, that's what he's got to do. It's true. He's got to go plant-based.
Don't give him no ideas, Milcar. He might start smoking some mota and then start eating again. You know, plant-based. All right.
Is your hero Fury plant-based? He looks like a carnivore to me, but is he?
You know the thing about Fury would be even better if he was plant-based. I'll tell you that much. See all that belly fat he's still carrying? We'd eliminate that in a few weeks right there.
That's loose skin. That's loose skin.
It is loose skin, to be honest.
Hey, just say aye if you're gonna buy the fight. Who's gonna buy the fight?
Nay.
This guy right here.
I don't know.
here.
I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence.
Babe?
On the fence.
Babe, are you gonna buy the fight?
Yeah, I'll buy the fight.
That's
He doesn't
what I'm
even
talking
have
about,
one.
B.
Like, there's not even like a moment of like, no, like it's just like, yes, of course.
I'll buy it.
I mean, I'm talking that big shit now, but we all know that at 8:58, I'm fucking buying the fight.
Right.
Oh, I know you are.
Before we proceed, do we have any update on the NFL draft? Any update on the draft?
Yeah, the Bengals just took Jamar Chase. Titletown, son. Titletown's own now. Heisman Trophy winner. Two times. Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase. Twice now, son. Super Bowl champ, son. I'm sorry.
That reminds me of DDP. Two time.
All right.
How did Joe Burrows turn out, though, bro?
Oh, we didn't have a line. I tell you what, I was between him and Penei Sewell. That's who I was. But I think they're going to pick up linemen later on down the draft. So
Yeah, that's what the Bengals been saying for 30 years, bro. We don't have a line. No, we just need a line, and we're ready to go.
How ironic is that their only Hall of Famer is a lineman, Anthony Munoz. That's it.
This is like if I say lines to the Bengals, they think I'm talking about this.
Right.
A line, yeah. Like, wrong line. Prograis. Regis Prograis says he wants to fight Adrian Broner. This isn't new. Okay, stories on boxingscene.com, by the way. So credit to them. But he came out. He said, "Hey, I want to fight Adrian Broner." He's been saying this for a while back. If you guys remember, he tweeted out, somebody give him those 10 million so I could beat his ass. And like he was really going in, you know. And then he's recently been saying, as we know, he just had a fight on Triller. He wants to fight Broner. And he said, my goal to fight Broner wouldn't be to beat him. It would be to knock him out. That would be my goal because a lot of people have beat him, but nobody's knocked him out. Broner has said he'll be willing to fight on Triller. He's all for it. You know, especially because, you know, they're giving the cheddar, you know what I mean, and all that good stuff. Maestro, talk to us. What are your thoughts on this, brother? And is that a fight you'll be interested in?
It's clickbait. It's clout chasing. He's hating because even at this stage of his career, Titletown's own has a much bigger profile than he does. So,
Much bigger.
I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, why would a guy who considers himself a serious boxer be calling out Adrian Broner? Like, seriously?
Why not?
It's clickbait. You're trying to get your name out there in the news. You're dick riding a guy who people have already forgotten about, to be honest with you.
The D word. The lady here.
He's Richard riding. He's Richard riding. Okay. A guy that people have already dismissed as a real legitimate contender or you know, no one considers him serious in boxing anymore. So if you're serious, you shouldn't be calling him out.
Okay. Hey, I like that take, and it's honest. But hold on, Z-Funky. Give me a second here. Let's go to Eric Lorda. He's saying that Titletown's own ain't shit. Like he's saying that he's long gone.
Well, I hate to agree with him, but you know, I'll tell you what. You know, I think it's a good. You know, listen, man. Regis is looking for a payday. I think Regis is looking to get a name on his record. Listen, fight somebody else, man. Bronner's not the guy for you. He's not. He's just, you know, I don't know that fight garners a lot of money anyway, to be honest with you. And it doesn't, I mean, what's it going to prove? If Regis steps in the ring with him, what's it really going to prove? You know what I mean? It doesn't do, I don't think it does anything for Regis. I don't think it does anything for Broner. And if Broner puts up a fight, if Broner gives him a good fight, it actually, Regis' stock's going to go down. So it's not a good look for him, to be honest with you. It's not a good look, man.
Oh man. Okay. Chief Funky. I know you wanted to ask a question to Maestro. Go ahead.
Yeah, Milcar, I just want to ask you something, man. I know you said Ruiz should go plant-based. Is it okay for him to eat that plant-based Whopper? Is that cool or what?
Well, the only problem with the Impossible Whopper is that it's high in sodium and high in fat, but it's plant fat. Yeah. It's plant fat. So, But the other problem with it is that they still put mayo on it that you can order with cheese. So
You can order with cheese and mayo. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like, why don't you just fucking throw bacon on it while you're at it? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, right.
no, I'm not gonna consider that. Although I did have Impossible Whopper yesterday without those extras.
They are pretty good. They are pretty good. I gotta be
cheat
honest,
day.
man.
It was
You
my
can't
cheat
really
day.
tell.
I think I'm gonna get one tomorrow.
Yeah,
You
it
gotta
sounds
check them out. They're pretty
impossible.
good.
But like I don't know if G Funky was paid to do something for Burger King right now, but
I
hey,
think
G Funky,
so. Are they a
just trying to help.
sponsor, G Funky?
I'm just trying to help Ruiz out, you know.
Get
Milk
me
Car's
in
like,
there.
flat base, you know. And I'm like, well, what about the burger, you know?
But are there
next
such
we're gonna
things
turn
as
around and Burger King's gonna be sponsoring his channel next. Watch, okay? Hey, but back to the fight. But back to this Prograis Broner. What are thoughts, G Funky? Same sentiments, or how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like both guys are looking to get paid. Triller has been throwing around some money, you know, but they've been making money. So, you know, God bless them for that. It sounds like Broner, you know, we know Broner's had some financial trouble in the past. Regis is a guy who's, you know, been trying to get his name out there and, you know, trying to make some money himself, but it's just not a good fight, man. I mean, Broner, what's he done? I mean, this guy has done nothing. Before his last win, and a lot of people didn't even think he won that fight. It had been years since this guy had won a fight. So I don't like the fight. I don't think it's a good fight for Broner or Prograis. Prograis should be looking to get another title shot. You know, he's one of the best guys at 140. Why are you trying to fight Adrian Broner? You know, like that just doesn't make sense to me. Plus, he beats the hell out of Broner at this point. Like, it's not even a competitive fight. Broner can't make 140. So, I mean, where are they going to fight at a catchweight? They're going to fight at 147. I mean, who knows where the fight's going to be? But at the end of the day, I don't care for the fight. I think it's a terrible fight. Dumpster juice if it happens.
Okay, let me get this straight. So G Funky randomly brings up Burger King, right? And then his buddy Black and Brown's in the chat. Oh, I'm in a drive-thru right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just, well, what's going on over here? You guys got paid? Like, I want some of this. I want the cut. You know, where's my cut? You know what I mean? That's the thing. You know, people talking about the Texas Whopper. Like, what's this? This seems planned to me. Hey, but Beeb, what do you make? Prograis, Broner, possibly on Triller. Is that a fight you're interested in? And would it be good for, you know, for Triller?
Well, I mean, he just fought Ivan Redkach, so you have to say that Broner could probably put up a better fight than Ivan Redkach did. And Broner talks a lot. He knows how to promote a fight. He for whatever reason, you know, people are interested in Broner still. You know, he gets a lot of attention, whether it be positive or negative. So it's not like it would be a competitive fight, but it could be a good event. Sort of like how Canelo fought Chavez Jr. Everyone knew Canelo was going to win easily.
True.
But it still did a million pay-per-view buys because of the storyline behind it. And obviously because of Chavez Jr.'s name. But because of all of the behind the scenes things going on with Broner and, you know, the way he talks a lot, I think it could be a successful event. Whether I don't think it will be a competitive fight, but does that really matter if you know, enough people buy into it and it can get a lot of attention and put a lot of money in both people's pockets? Because at the end of the day, that's the goal. That's the goal, to put money in both fighters' pockets. So if you look at it from that perspective, you just have to look at things for what they are. You know, the whole Jake Paul thing, you can't put that in the same context as you would put a boxing match like with Prograis and Josh Taylor. You're not going to look at those fights. So this fight would just be an event. It wouldn't be a competitive matchup.
Okay, all right, I hear you. Christine, talk to us.
Oh my God! Again, I'm with Joe. It's like I thought I was going to be the Lone Ranger or the Pocahontas. You know, how many people watched Triller for Prograis? Did they watch it for what's his name? Redkach? I don't even know his name. Yeah, or for Prograis. Who paid for it for who?
Redkach's ball sack is in his thigh.
For Broner. Whoa. They're gonna buy it for Broner. You know, he's a social media whatever. You know, he makes a lot of noise. He talks a lot of stuff, and that's why they're gonna buy it. Yes, this is Triller, guys. It's not pay-per-view, ESPN. It's not HBO. It's not whatever. It's Triller. It's great. It's a great matchup. I think it'd be fabulous. The boxing heads will watch it. The social media people will watch it. To me, it's fabulous. It's genius. It will work. It will make money for both of them. I think it's great. Fabulous.
Hey, by the way, it's the what? It's the Triller.
Yes, it is.
Come on, guys, you gotta do it with me. You gotta you gotta do a Triller.
Whether we like whether we like it or not, this is where we're at right now. This is where we're at right now. This is like the COVID era that we're at right now. This is where we're at, whether we like it or not. You know,
we need events right now.
This is where we're at, and this is a great event.
We need events right now.
Let me say this, guys. Okay, hey guys, you just saw him fight Red Catch, and I didn't see all this fuss on the internet. Like, no, don't fight him. Like, right now, Regis Prograis has already fought the number one guy, quote unquote, and in my opinion, won the fight, but could have gone either way. And he fought in the dude's hometown, and they gave him the decision. I don't have no complaints. It was close, right? So it's not like he's incapable of fighting the top dudes, but make no mistake, the little fanfare and the little publicity that fight, okay, unification fight, 140 pounds got, and nobody was fucking, like outside of us, we're the hardcores. We're the boxing nerds. We watch everything, right? But the public at mass did not watch that fight. Still don't know who the hell Prograis is, okay? This is a guy that came up short on the short end of a stick on a decision that could have gone to him. If he wants to grow his name by knocking out Adrian Broner, I have zero issues with that, okay? And then Maestro was a 140-pound fighter, okay? If Amilcar El Maestro was an 140-pound fighter and they offered him a fight for Adrian Broner for a good amount of money, he'd take that fight. He wouldn't say, no, I'm a serious fighter. I'm not going to take all those millions, okay? Keep your money. I'm a serious fighter. It wouldn't happen. But since I mentioned your name, you're allowed to respond. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I agree. I'm just saying that the only reason he's mentioned the guy's name is because the guy's a bigger name than he is. And
smart.
This is a guy who fought for a unified championship against Josh Taylor. And it's gotta hurt to be where he is, on the undercard of a Jake Paul fight. Shout out to Eric and everyone from Ohio. All right. While you see another guy just literally take a shit on Instagram and get no more notoriety than you have. So I get it. He's definitely a better boxer. I get it, but
it doesn't hurt when you put that check in the bank. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't hurt then. Not right now in the era that we're in. Like what we're going through right now, I don't think it hurts anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Prograis, let's put this in context though. Prograis got $850,000 to fight Red Catch. I mean, that's a nice payday for him. So I don't think he's going to be disappointed with the outcome. I mean, it was an easy fight for him, and he got $850,000.
Yes, and it went from a TKO to a KO like just a few days ago. So
yeah, Well, I mean, I'd be happy if I was him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yo, did Red Catch fake it? What do you guys think?
Absolutely, he did.
No question.
Yeah, Regis has some real power. Real power.
I mean, where are all these conspiracy theory guys for this one, man? I don't know where they're at. They should be on this one. All right, the guy took a dive. Okay, where are they?
But before we continue,
this guy.
I want you all. I don't even know if Eric and Bieber are even aware of this one, but if anyone wants to chime in about Vaseline Gate. No, you guys don't know what that is?
I don't like where this is going.
So
I talked about it last night.
Okay, so a video went
about Hearn, right?
It's a family show, isn't it?
Chisora
you guys are with us.
This better not get X-rated or I'm leaving.
Just saying.
So here's what happened, guys. Okay, really quick and really simple. So there was a video footage of Navarrete that were putting Vaseline on his face. Some of it got caught in his lip and his tongue, and so the cut man reached over and took out the Vaseline in his tongue. Then he wiped it off with the like a rag, like his tongue, and that's all it was, really. You know what I mean? And that's all it should be.
It happens.
But the reason we're talking about this because there was suspicion that he put something in the mouth of Navarrete and to give him extra energy in the last 3 rounds.
Power pellets.
Power pellet, something. You know what I mean? So some power out there. But it was his Vaseline. That's all. But
Okay.
I'm surprised you guys didn't hear about it. And maybe it didn't go viral enough.
I'm glad I didn't hear about it.
Y'all need to work harder, guys.
It's ridiculous.
Right, exactly. Wouldn't it if they did put something in his mouth? I mean, to increase it, wouldn't it take longer than 9 minutes?
Absolutely.
Usually,
right?
Yep.
Well, I don't know.
It's got to take some time to get in your blood.
What if it's a senso bean? Okay, from like Dragon Ball, and all of a sudden, he just gets all that power.
Some of that, then. I need some of that.
It was Red Balls. Shazam! That's what it was.
Pero le gusta la Vaselina. That's right, guys.
No, I got one better for you, man. Who remembers Ice Cube, No Vaseline, the NWA diss? That's what
I do. I remember that. I remember that.
Man. Hey, but really quick, before we're going to get to the main course in a little bit. It's a Canelo thing, and there's a lot to unpack with that one. So I want to get through this really quick. Today, Dana White tweeted out and put out on social media, and it was announced that the UFC is now a publicly traded company. They're no longer a private company as of today or whenever. I don't know the process, but at some point it's going to be publicly traded.
I think they predicted in the next week, I think.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think, Eric? What do you make of that, brother? Is that good for the UFC? Bad for Dana White? What are your overall thoughts?
I think it's good. I think it's good, and it's not. I mean, it's just the company that owns them. I think they do a lot of other stuff aside from UFC, but yeah, I think it's great. I really do. I mean, people get a chance to. I think before it was owned by a bunch of other people anyway. It wasn't even. It was a lot of people owned the actual company. What is it? What is the actual company name? It was
WEMI or something.
WEMI or something like and a lot of celebrities own pieces of it and everything like that. This will just get a chance. It'll make them a lot more money. I think by going public, they're going to get a ton of money out of it, and it also gives any fans or whatever a chance to own a piece of the UFC or whatever, so to speak. I think it's good. It's a good move.
All right, okay. Beeb, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Like I said, whenever a company goes public, the shareholders have to be satisfied as well. So I think it changes the dynamic of the whole business model. I know when I worked for a company that went public before, a lot of things changed. We had a lot of different rules. A lot of managers got let go and stuff. Everything was restructured. So I'm just wondering if this is going to have any impact on Dana White's control of the UFC or not. I wonder if he's going to have to change what he does. I'm just curious. I mean, we'll see, but I think it's good for the public because it gives more transparency to the fans. Right. They'll have to release more information to the public, a lot of figures. We can actually find out like what the people are making over there, like the higher ups, because that has to be released if people want to know it because it's public, right? So we can really find out what the split is in terms of how much the fighters are getting percentage wise, as opposed to how much Dana White and the higher ups are getting. So I think it's a good thing because it gives more transparency to the public, and that's a good thing. And then if people want to buy the stock, and that's another good thing too, because I think the UFC is doing very well. It seems to me there's a lot of up and coming fighters there, and they've been putting on some good shows lately. So I think it's good, but hopefully it can be good for the fighters too. Hopefully they can help them get more of the things that they want. So we'll see. So
really quick, here's the tweet of Dana White at the exchange here, and there's the background. You know what I mean? That smile, is that a smile or is it a forced smirk? I don't know. But there you go. Christine, you have any thoughts on this? And do you think this will be good for the UFC? You're muted. Hold on, you're muted. All right.
Honestly, I don't know. I guess it depends on what side you're on, the public or the private, owned. I don't know. I guess we'll just see. we own businesses here in Texas, and we are publicly owned. I mean, like, where our employees can own part of it, and they can like see everything that's going on, and it works well. So I don't know. It just depends. We'll just see how it goes. I don't know.
Well, okay, all right. Milcar, what are your thoughts, man? It's now a publicly traded company.
Honestly, my immediate thought is fuck the UFC. I don't like the UFC. Honestly, I have not liked the UFC since they started doing their shit on Saturdays, clearly trying to take over Saturdays and displace boxing, and the whole MMA versus boxing nonsense. That was all started by the UFC. Like, no boxing person was ever doing that. That was all UFC. So I've never liked the UFC. I don't like Dana White. I find him repugnant, to be honest with you. He looks like a... Honestly, this is a family show, so I'm not going to say it. And but it's not nothing. It's not anything nice, okay? And I've honestly been a much bigger fan of Bellator because they go on Fridays.
I can't hear you.
And of One Championship because they go on Thursdays. Sorry, on Wednesdays, as we've been seeing with their stuff on the TNT network. And both of those promotions actually pay their fighters more than the UFC does, unless it's a top UFC fighter on a pay-per-view in the main event. And even those guys get paid way less than boxing main eventers on a pay-per-view. Chris Arreola and Andy Ruiz are going to get paid more Saturday than guys up and down the UFC roster. I don't like their business model. It exploits the fighter more so than pretty much any other major sport that's out there, maybe except the NFL. And, you know, that's all I really have to say. I mean, honestly, I hope the UFC dies or at least moves to like Monday night or something, because I've never liked it.
It's terrible.
So you're a fan of MMA, like the actual sport, but you don't like the company, UFC?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in college, like, I was a huge Pride Fighting Championships guy. Like, I loved watching Vanderlei Silva and Sakuraba and all of the guys that were out there. Rampage Jackson, Fedor, the last Emperor Emelianenko, like his brother was out there too. Like Bob Sapp was in there for a little bit. I mean, he was in K1 as well. Yeah. You guys who know MMA know all these names, sure. And many others. I like Pride Fighting. I also like their female announcer who now works for the one that announces the guys as they go to the ring. Very entertaining stuff. But the UFC from the get-go, once Dana White took over and worked with Fertitas? They tried to displace boxing and make it a whole MMA versus boxing thing, and it never used to be that. And they did it by going at Saturday nights and specifically, guys, counter-programming major boxing fights that took place on the weekends. Major pay-per-view fights, they counter-program them, let alone the HBO and the Showtime cards. So I've never respected their model. I never respected that. I've never respected the paying fighters, 18% of the profit. I mean, come on, like, seriously? So no, I'm just not a big fan of them at all. And there's a reason why Pitbull's with Bellator. He said it. They pay way more than the UFC. You've got to be on pay-per-view in the main event on UFC to make any serious money. No one else makes serious money in the UFC.
But if you don't mind me, okay, the fact that it's publicly traded now, do you think that will be better for them? Do you think a lot of that will change for the better?
I mean, it will become more transparent. I mean, we're going to get to this later, Canelo's comments about Golden Boy, but what became transparent when Golden Boy's figures and financials went public was that they exploit their boxers tremendously, more than even other promotions. And I'll get into that later. So transparency is always good. Like they said, the greatest sunlight is transparency or whatever the term is. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the UFC at all.
How could you, let me ask you a question. How could you not be a fan of their business, of their model? The best fight the best. We're not getting that in boxing.
It's not the best fight the best, Eric. What
are you talking about?
That's UFC propaganda. if you go in many of the divisions and you look at independent rankings of MMA fighters, many top 5 guys are not fighting in the UFC.
Any of those top 5 guys, anybody that comes to the UFC, either they sink or they swim. Look at Ben Askren. I thought Ben Askren was one of the top fighters in the world. And he was at one, and he was undefeated. He came over there. He had a tough fight with Robbie Lawler, and then got knocked out by Jorge Masvidal. Anderson Silva is one that came over and swam. You know what I mean? He became one of the better ones over there. But, you know, and when they come to the UFC, they're just, it's a better caliber of fighter over there. You're muted.
Gosh, stuck.
Sorry,
I'm off. My mute button was stuck. I'm on my laptop today. The fact is, Dana White doesn't allow cross-promotional fights. Patricio Pitbull Freire is offered many times to fight the lightweight or the featherweight champion in UFC. Dana White won't allow it.
No.
When Fedor was in his prime, Dana White was out there acting like he didn't know who Fedor was. We all know you know who Fedor is.
No,
but he wouldn't allow his UFC fighters. He wouldn't allow his UFC fighters to fight him. Look, if you go to MMA Matrix, which is like an independent ranking of MMA fighters, across multiple divisions, there are guys in the top 5 that are not in the UFC. You go to the light heavyweight division, you've got Vadim Nemkov ranked at number 3. He's not in the UFC.
Who's the best fighter in the world? John Jones.
Best fighter
Francis
in the world.
Ngannou, John Jones.
Best fighter in the world is yes, absolutely. They've dominated the heavyweight division.
Amanda Nunes. Look at Chris Cyborg. She crossed over and then got beat by Amanda Nunes. I'm telling you, the best fighters, to me anyway, my opinion, the best fighters in MMA are in the UFC.
But let me ask you this, Eric. Do you want a model in boxing where there is a top-ranked championship of the world, a PBC championship of the world, a Matchroom championship of the world, a Queensbury Promotions championship in the world? Because that's the UFC.
That's what we
model.
have now. That's what we have
the
now.
UFC model.
You have the WBC, the WBE. We have that now, and we have people in different promotions now. Top Rank. You're not going to see anybody from Top Rank fight anybody from the PBC. Anybody good? We're trying to make that match now with Crawford and Spence. They're not. That fight's not happening.
Well, look, we're struggling with the Fury Joshua fight too. But Andy Ruiz versus Joshua would have never happened under the UFC model.
Well,
they don't allow cross-promotional fights.
Well, I guess. Well, let me just set this. So, like, for example, the issue is this, right? Is that I gave your examples, Amilcar, and I agree. I kind of halfway agree with you on a lot of the points you're making. But my issue is no promotion in boxing controls like 80% at the very least of the best fighters in the world, which I do believe the UFC has at least anywhere from 70 to 80% of the best fighters. You know what I mean?
They definitely control the majority of the fighters in the upper weight classes.
But I'm gonna let you respond, but let me make my point. The issue with boxing is like we'll have fighters within the same promotion ever fight each other. Like Benavidez and Plant are both with PBC, easy to make. Like if you're honest, all right, if they were both fighting under the UFC, they would have fought already.
I have to be honest about something. The UFC event that I watched last week, I would have to say that was the best combat sports event that I've seen all year,
from top to bottom,
by far. I mean, I don't like the model either from the fighter standpoint. Because I'm for the fighters. I want the fighters to get as much as they can. But from a product standpoint, it's irrefutable that their product, what they're giving to the fans, is better than what boxing's giving to the fans.
Without question.
You sound like Teddy Atlas, Joe. You sound like Teddy Atlas.
No, I sound like Teddy Atlas. I sound like someone that's telling the truth, and you don't want to hear the truth. That's what it's about.
So, a couple things. Number one, the product that the NFL produces is entertaining, no doubt. But the draft, you guys are following it. It's a modern day slave auction. I mean, they're hiring these guys. The minute one of them turns their ankle or obliterates their ACL or MCL, they're out. There's no guaranteed contracts. They're done. It's over.
It's like that any type of employment, though.
No, it's not like that in the NBA. Not in the NBA or in Major League Baseball.
If
they
somebody
have
rolls their ankle,
they have guaranteed contracts.
Oh, one at a time, guys.
I mean, nobody's gonna give you guaranteed contracts.
Why the NFL doesn't have a union? The NFL doesn't have a union?
The NFL, you know what? They'll sign a contract.
It's the weakest union in professional sports.
Yeah.
They don't. So if they have so when they sign a contract, it's not guaranteed.
No, it's not. It's the only major sport in the U.S. in North America that does that. Even the MLS players have guaranteed contracts.
Yeah, but you're saying it's like a modern-day slave auction. I mean, let me be a part of that slave auction then, because all those guys are getting paid millions.
Until they get injured. You know what?
No, they signed most of them are getting contract signing bonuses.
Check out an episode of HBO Sports with Brian Gumbel, Eric, from about 2 years ago. I can send you it offline.
Yeah, please.
The majority of NFL players, end up bankrupt, addicted to drugs, and divorced. All three. The majority.
That's a lot of sports players, though.
What other field do you know where that
athletes?
What other field? I'm a teacher. The majority of teachers don't end up bankrupt, divorced, and addicted to painkillers.
You don't see a difference. You don't see a difference between teachers and regular people that have regular careers versus NFL players.
But I'm just saying, you said that you'd like to get one of those contracts. I'm saying
absolutely
you wouldn't want to get one of those contracts if you got injured.
I'll be honest with you. Football players, that's probably the worst sport to play anyways, because you're going to get a concussion. It's more dangerous than boxing.
Oh, for sure.
So even if those guys are making a lot of money, even if those guys are making a lot of money, the majority of those guys' quality of life when they retire is trash anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Professional boxers don't have a guarantee. Like, you don't turn pro and you're going to make millions guaranteed. No, you have to fight some other dudes trying to take her head off, fighting for the same thing.
But why is that not a slave auction? I mean, seriously, why is that not a slave auction? When
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because every NFL owner, if he's not a billionaire, he's damn near close to it. And every last NFL owner, except for a few, is a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, aka a WASP. Almost all of them are. The majority of these dudes that are coming in, I'll be honest, they're African American. So that's why I say it. And the fact is, they just throw them away like the horse that can no longer race at the Kentucky Derby as soon as they get injured. Now, why it's different than boxing? Boxing isn't the greatest model. But in boxing, a fighter is essentially an independent contractor. The fighter does not technically work for a corporation the way an NFL athlete does. In fact, the way boxing is structured, unlike the UFC, the boxer goes out and hires a promoter, hires a manager, hires a trainer. So he's running his own independent business. Whenever you're an independent businessman as an entrepreneur, that comes with some risk. But when you're an employee, you should actually have much lower risk. Whereas in the NFL, you have much higher risk.
But that the promoters
the problem with that is, well, I was going to say the problem with that is, it's like, I mean, I get your point, but like, hey, like, let me tell you something, bro. Like, if you get drafted by the NFL,
yeah,
I would say most of those guys are multimillionaires. I just don't think
I'll point you to the HBO episode with Brian Gumbel. The majority divorced, addicted to drugs, and bankrupt.
Okay, if you're divorced, that's not the owner of the NFL job. Right. That's not the owner. It's not the owner's fault.
Well, I'm saying you're saying they're doing so well for themselves. Like, I wouldn't.
No. But if you get divorced, that's your problem as an individual. That's not the fault of the white owner in the NFL. That's your fault for getting divorced.
I would bet you any money that the majority of like lottery winners end up in that same situation.
What about pugilistic dementia?
If you get drafted, you're more. Are you telling me right now getting drafted in the NFL makes you less likely to become a multimillionaire than if you become a pro boxer?
Let me tell you something, D-Style, because you're from Texas. I thought they were big on football over there. The majority of NFL players are not in starting positions. You're talking about special teams dudes that are on low six-figure annual contracts. That money does not last, dog.
Bro, six-figure isn't low money, bro.
Excuse me, it's definitely low money when after 1 or 2 years you're gone. Do you know how much the average NFL career is? It's 3 years. In fact, I believe recently it went below 3 years. So if you're earning that money, most of it, a lot of it's going to taxes. Number one. Let's be honest.
So what do you want? You want the owners to pay them forever, and the guys coming up in college shouldn't get an opportunity because you got to guarantee these guys a lifetime?
What I'm saying is, why don't they do what the NFL?
Is the minimum salary.
Look, the NFL does what the UFC does. All I'm saying is you're acting like they're doing what Major League Baseball and what the NBA does, which is provide guaranteed contracts. If LeBron gets injured coming out of high school, his contract's guaranteed. If you're drafted,
that's nice that they do that in basketball, right? I mean, I get it. Okay,
you got sponsors too.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is this, right? Like you just told me, it's only an average of 3 years, right?
Yeah, 3
years. So you're telling me they should be required to keep a punter forever or something? Like you got to give him a 20-year contract because hey, it's the right thing, morally right thing to do. Or does a better punter come along and you say, hey, this guy's better than you, so bye-bye.
You might be thinking like the capitalist, aka Jerry Jones, which is nearby to you. I don't know about you. I don't have $1 billion. I'm a worker.
I'm not. Think about the guys that are trying to get that position. What about them, Amilcar?
Yeah, that's
what about the guys coming up?
They can get that position while the guy that got injured working for
There's only 30 teams, brother. Like we don't have 100 football teams.
Okay, D-Sal, you do realize that the NFL is the most profitable of all the leagues in sports in the U.S., right?
Okay.
Why can't they afford to pay the guy's contract if he gets injured and bring in a new player, just like the NFL and the NBA do? Why can't they do that? They're the most profitable league in the United States.
We have to talk to the NFL Players Association, all that good stuff that Drew Brees is the president of.
I'm not out here pretending to be a billionaire owner or a Dana White. I'm a worker.
No, I'm not trying to pretend anything.
I sign with the boxer and with the athlete. I don't sign with the billionaire.
Well,
so you think all boxers retire in great shape and they're not destitute? How many boxers retire with nothing?
Not at all, but you know what the difference is?
Come on, man. There's no
You know
difference.
what the difference is?
No
Name me a boxer that's employed by a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Vasily Lomachenko?
No.
I mean, Amilcar, like most boxers are, and watch my eye, Amilcar, most boxers are independent contractors.
Each team.
But they got a contract with Top Rank, bro. Like they control their career while they're under contract with them. That's not, like, you know, it's kind of like saying Al Heyman isn't a promoter.
The Zone
he is.
The Zone is a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
The Zone does not employ boxers. The Zone signs deals with promoters who are technically employed by boxers.
Okay.
I'm not saying the model is great. But
it's the same thing, though. Like it's apples and oranges. It's the same thing.
I'm not saying the model is great.
All athletes get exploited. All athletes get exploited.
So why would I want to go?
Why is boxing any better than any of these other organizations?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you why. They definitely are.
They're not.
Listen.
All right, hold on. Whoa. Amilcar, go ahead and finish that point.
This is going to be the last point.
Move on, though.
This is going to be the last point. In boxing, the ratio is 70% of the profit goes to the boxer, 30% goes to the promoter.
Okay.
In the UFC, it's 82-18. That's the fucking difference.
No one's disputing that.
No, I'm just saying, why would you go to that model? Because the NFL has the same model as the UFC. They keep the majority of the profit.
Like I said, for the fighters, the UFC model is not optimal. Not at all. Because look how many UFC fighters complain about their pay. But we cannot dispute that their fights are more competitive than boxing fights are. It's irrefutable.
That's the point. And at the end of the day, I'd rather see competitive fights.
No one's disputing your argument. It's just a different argument.
Well, you know what? Walmart offers lower prices than most of your mom and pop grocery stores. That doesn't mean I think Walmart is better and treats its workers better.
But that's a different argument.
Yeah.
No, it's the same argument. They
Why do you-
control the market and they are able to do things.
So do you boycott Walmart?
All right, guys.
We don't have it in New York City, so I don't have a choice.
Would you boycott
All right,
it?
guys. All right, guys. Let's get to the Canelo thing here. Saul Canelo Alvarez. Let's get the ratings back up. Let's get them back up. Okay, Saul Canelo Alvarez. All right. He had an interview with Graham Bensinger. You guys can go ahead and check that out. Some highlights of the interview here. Okay. The first thing I want you guys to please do not go to the other things that was talked about. Just what I'm asking. Okay. I will cut you off, mute you, and go to the next person if you jump the top. I swear to God. Okay. So just answer this. He said he talked about the fighters leaving. Golden Boy Schaefer left with everybody. He basically said he was a drunk. He basically said he's got a drinking problem and some other things. I don't know what other things Canelo was talking about, but I think we all know. All right. And he even said Schaefer asked him to come with him. And Canelo decided, hey, I'm going to stay out of loyalty to Oscar De La Hoya. That's why he stayed. I don't think none of us learned anything new, but what is new is that Canelo is talking about it. Beeb, what do you make of it?
Well, I mean, it's information that we pretty much already knew, and he just revealed it. But the fact that he stayed, I don't to this day, even when the whole thing was going on, I still didn't know why he stayed when everyone else left. So, I mean, true to his word, he is loyal. But, you know, did it hurt him for being loyal? Not really, because he still didn't affect his pay, you know, his pay or anything like that. He was still getting big money to fight for Golden Boy while it lasted. He still got that DAZN deal, even though the DAZN deal fell through. He's, you know, at the end of the day, I think that he revealed what pretty much everyone knew. But the fact that he did stay loyal, it says something about him. But either way, no matter where he went, he was going to make money. And who's to say that if he did leave and go to the PBC, if he would have made the same amount of money? Because they had so many fighters over there. How would they have been able to pay him those big paydays that he received? You know, staying with Golden Boy would have been tough. I don't know, but yeah, I commend him for his loyalty. But either way, he was going to make money regardless. So it wasn't like I don't think he really sacrificed anything. Is what I'm getting at.
Are you surprised that he said anything about the lawyer's drinking problem and all that?
No, because a lot of people talked about De La Hoya's drinking problem. A lot of people talked about his cocaine addiction. He's talked about his drinking problem. He's talked about his cocaine addiction. So it's been public for a long time. Like I said, I don't think anyone was surprised. But you make a good point. Like the fact that he would talk about it like that in an interview, and pretty much after all these years, kind of torch De La Hoya on you know, in an interview. That, you know, that was a little bit surprising. Yeah.
Christine, what do you make of that? Of those comments from Canelo? You're muted, Christine.
In this day and age, loyalty goes a long way. It does. Are we shocked, you know, about De La Hoya? No. I mean, anybody that goes to fights and stays after and does interviews and is in the fight hotel, they see stuff, you know. I was just at the Herring fight, you know, here, and I see stuff, you know. We know that there's a problem. If you were tuned into Triller, you see things and you saw problems, and it's no secret. I commend Canelo for his loyalty. But then sometimes you have to like cut ties regardless, you know, because sometimes the loyalty doesn't go, you know, both ways. It's no secret, you know. I don't know what to say. I think we've all had friends that we're loyal to, or family members that we're loyal to, even though they're doing things that they probably shouldn't be doing. But it says a lot about his character, so I commend him, and that's all I have to say.
Jay Funky, what do you make of it, man?
Well, first thing I want to say is this. You know, I've seen a lot of people's reactions to it, and I'm not talking about anybody in this panel, but just, you know, on social media and also on YouTube, people acting like Canelo just went out on a rant and just started talking about Oscar. Like, he was asked a question, you know, he's being interviewed, and they asked him about the Golden Boy, his situation with Golden Boy and stuff like that. So it's not like he just decided to go on his wild rant on Oscar. I agree with Joe and everybody else that's already spoken on it. This is stuff we already knew. This is nothing new. Unfortunately, this is a problem in our community that still plagues us to this day. I'm one of these guys, I don't give people a pass when they're using drugs and stuff like that. Like, I'm going to be that friend or that guy that's going to tell you to get your shit together. Excuse my language, and I'm just going to tell Oscar flat out, get your shit together, man.
Tell him, G. Tell him, G.
You got an opportunity to do some good things here. You got a couple of good young fighters still on your roster, even though Canelo left you. But at the end of the day, the thing is this. People are acting like Canelo left because he was unhappy with Oscar. But the bottom line is this. Canelo doesn't need a promoter at this point in his career, does he? Doesn't need nobody to help sell his fights. He's a star. This is nothing new. We've seen guys do this all the time. We see when a fighter becomes big like that, they always tend to leave and go off and just do whatever they want to do at that point. And that's what Canelo's doing right now. He's a free agent. He can do whatever he wants. He can fight whoever he wants. So I think really people are just making a big deal out of Oscar's problems that we all already knew, but I do really hope that Oscar gets himself some help. He was definitely hammered on that Triller card. And I'm not one of these guys that condones that. I'm not going to be like, yeah, just whatever, man. Go ahead and do it. No, I'm not like that, man. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of people that do that type of stuff in this country, but I'm not one of them, man. I'm going to tell you to your face whether you like it or not.
Tell him, Jay.
Hey, this segment, I know Eric's all about the Coke Zero and Beeb's about the Diet Pepsi, but it's all about Dr. Pepper, zero sugar. That's what it's all about.
That's a fake drink. That's a fake drink.
A milk, bronze bomber. A milk car.
Look at him. He's still got smoke coming out of his ears. He's still fired up from the last segment. Fucking love him.
Don't just stay.
I love him. I love him. He blew out those headphones.
I hate the UFC and I hate the NFL. I'm sorry. So,
hey, but tell us how you really feel.
Back to the topic. Look, ask yourselves a question. Everyone here on the panel and in the chat. Of the major things you've heard about De La Hoya recently, has any one of them been about his promoting and how great a job he is doing as a promoter? Like, no,
Emil Carr.
No, I mean, absolutely not. So if you're Canelo, why are you paying him and his company $5 million to do absolutely nothing? I totally understood his move to cut out the middleman and go straight to DAZN and just, save himself that $5 million. For what? That's one thing. I agree with what Christine was saying. He was definitely acting out of loyalty. I think it has to do with that all-star boxing lawsuit. If you guys remember, there was that outfit in Miami. I think it was in Miami, All-Star Boxing, that had signed Canelo, and there was that deal they had, and it seemed a little bit shady. They maybe signed him at a time that he shouldn't sign him. And Golden Boy and Canelo stuck with each other through that thing, and it got to the point where they got a favorable judgment. And I think, that probably bonded them in a certain way that allowed that relationship to last a lot longer than it has. But look, if I'm a Golden Boy fighter, I don't want to see my promoter talking about a comeback. I don't want to see my promoter on Triller getting drunk and possibly, using other drugs and, being distracted, to say the least. You look at other promoters. I consider Eddie Hearn the best promoter in the game. Like, he's a salesman. Look how he's got the boxing world just sold on this Fury Joshua fight. He's out there. He's working the media. He's out doing nonstop interviews with YouTube people, let alone Sky Sports and everyone else. You don't see Oscar doing that. You don't see Oscar promoting his fighters. You go to a Virgil Ortiz fight where he's the main event. Oscar's reading off a crib notes, the kind of notes that, you're a student you have under your shirt when you have an exam. Like, he can't promote the way you'd expect a promoter to promote. And on top of that, he's got all of these side distractions. So I totally get it. If I was Canelo, I'd be blunt. Canelo's a straight shooter. You ask him a question, just like G-Funky said, he's going to give you a straight up response. I'm the same way. I say what I mean what I say. I speak directly to people. And why wouldn't Canelo do the same? Like, he's one of the most famous sports personalities in the world. Oscar's got to get his act together and decide if he actually really wants to be a promoter. Because right now, it's like he's walking that tightrope between being a celebrity and doing this Triller shit, or being a promoter whose interest number one is in promoting his fighters. Ryan Garcia, Virgil Ortiz, and apparently Zerto Ramirez now too. It's like, you got work to do, bro. Get to work.
Well said. Well said. Hey, Eric, what are your thoughts on Canelo speaking up about this?
You know, Canelo is one of those fighters he's on top of the game right now. He's the money guy and where every other fighter in the sport wants to be. And when he says something like this, it carries a lot of weight, I think. And, you know, there's been rumors for years that, you know, about Oscar and his drug use and alcohol use and everything like that. You know, and now it's kind of Canelo confirms it and everything like that. He left the stable. I tell you what, if I were anybody on that Golden Boy stable, I'd be really looking hard right now to get out of Dodge. I really would. You know, he's got his guys fighting on his own. I turn on the TV, I see him on Triller talking about he's going to fight on Triller next. I don't ever hear him. Where's his promotion for his other guys? He's promoting himself. It's like having Floyd Mayweather for a promoter. You're promoting yourself. You're not promoting, you're not promoting your fighters, and then you see this guy to top it all off. He's, at least drunk on there. Who knows if he's coked up or what, but he's at least drunk on TV. This is the guy that holds your future. You know what I mean? He's holding your future in his hands. So I tell you what, son, if I were any one of those fighters, Garcia, anybody on his stable, I'd be getting out of there. And why is DAZN good enough for his fighters, but not good enough for him? Now, he's got to go somewhere else. So while he's making a whole lot of money, going to fight some stiff on Triller, he's going to stick you guys on DAZN, and you're going to make less money than he would. He's terrible. He's terrible.
Look, he also mentioned that Oscar doesn't really do anything. It's Sierra Gomez's of the world, etc. I don't think he mentioned any names, but that's worth noting. And him kind of throwing out there, like, hey, I stayed out of loyalty to Oscar De La Hoya. Look, man, like it's crazy how Oscar lost Canelo, and I don't think he had to do much to really keep him, But exactly. It's like he had him on a silver platter, like, you know what I mean. But he almost left Canelo no choice but to drop him, It's like
absolutely
like what he did with that DAZN deal. I don't think was responsible whatsoever. I mean, you went behind your client, you made a deal with DAZN, right? And you gotta fill him in on that, And the only reason I could think, two reasons I could think why Oscar didn't consult with De La Hoya about Canelo about that. One, he just wasn't smart enough to realize that's something he needed to do. Or two, he just felt like Canelo would want a little more since you're using me as leverage, and I should get something more out of this pie, So I think it had a lot to do with that. But
I think he's
the other thing too, D-Style, is from what I've read, when De La Hoya sued PBC, remember that lawsuit that they had where he said he was damaging his business or whatnot, he had to release his financials to kind of prove that his business was being damaged. And two things were revealed at that time. Number one, Canelo was the only one turning a profit for Golden Boy, and he was essentially sustaining the entire Golden Boy operations. Number two, to go back to our UFC topic before, Golden Boy was paying its fighters a lower percentage than any of the other major promoters in boxing. So the guy who was the former boxer who started Golden Boy to give back to fighters and help fighters so that they wouldn't get screwed like he did, ended up screwing them more than the other promoters.
He's a fraud.
It backfired on him for sure. I mean, everything that went on, you know what I mean? And now he made a deal with a competitor to DAZN. He's going to be fighting over there. I just don't think they're going to renew that deal with Golden Boy, and I don't think they have a reason to.
Well,
I mean, I could see DAZN.
Golden Boy has no TV time anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, DAZN is with Matchroom. They're not with Sky Sports anymore. And where does Golden Boy fit in? They have no TV time, anything. And how else are his fighters going to get any kind of notoriety?
And he never really was a promoter. Richard Schaefer was running the show, and now when Richard Schaefer left, Eric Gomez ran the show. So he was basically just a figurehead there. Never really did anything.
Like all you have to do was like not get in trouble and not like and just kind of pay attention to what's going on. That's all you have to do. I mean, at the end of the day, you know. But look, did I want De La Hoya to succeed? I mean, if that means we get more fights, then I'm all for it. But look, if I could see DAZN just telling a Virgil Ortiz, like, look, if we like a fight, we'll buy your fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's it. We don't need to do an exclusive contract with Golden Boy, you know. And I just don't see why DAZN should. I've said from the beginning, I don't think they should have an exclusive contract with anybody. They should just buy fights, you know. And that's it. That's my opinion. But another thing about Canelo. Okay, just to go around again, we're going to go opposite this time. We'll start with Eric here. De La Hoya talked about his brother being kidnapped in 2018.
Canelo.
Canelo, yes. And did I say another name?
He said De La Hoya.
Oh, my bad. Wow. Yeah, Canelo talked about his brother being kidnapped in 2018. Okay, and this was around the Rocky Fielding fight. He had to negotiate with them. So I wanted thoughts on that. I mean, that's crazy. But also, should fighters' purses and what they make be private? Like, do us as the public really need to know? I've heard the matchmaker Golden Boy talk about Linares, being held at gunpoint after he got a big payday, and he just didn't. Like, he said he called Dan Rafael and was like, "Why do you guys got to report what these dudes made? Oh, the fans like to know. Like, do we as fans need to know what these fighters are making? And should money is what's causing this? Should it be private information?"
Absolutely. I mean, at your job, everybody works here. Nobody at your job knows what you make unless you tell them. I mean, quite honestly, that's the way it is. And, especially, we heard stories about like Chavez Jr. and about how he's, you hear about the things in Culiacan and stuff like that. I've heard stuff about wasn't he like married to like El Chapo's? I don't know. I thought he was like juiced in with somebody down there. I don't know. But yeah, it's dangerous, man. No, I really do think they should keep it private. I don't need to know how much how much people make and everything like that. I don't need to know that. And in certain parts of the world, it's dangerous.
Well said. Well, what are your thoughts on this, Milkar?
I agree with Eric. They're not civil servants like I am. I mean, in New York State, as a teacher or as another civil servant, you can look into my salary online, and it's there on the government website.
That's right.
And I don't mind it because at the end of the day, but that's different though, Eric, right? Because I'm being paid by the taxpayer, right? So you look at the New York Post, and anytime they want to shame a teacher or shame a cop or whatever, they point out how much money he was making. And they get that because those records are public because we work for the government. But Canelo doesn't work for the government. Canelo works for himself. Linares works for himself. And they come from very violent parts of the world. Like I lived multiple years in Central America in adulthood, in places where home invasions were like a regular occurrence. If someone knows you're like a retiree from the United States collecting Social Security, they'll home invade you and kidnap you and try to get money off of you. So we got to understand that not everybody is living in the United States where it's 911 and the cops show up at 5 minutes and hopefully they don't shoot you, because that's obviously an issue here too. But you're talking about places in the world where cops do not come immediately. People have to be responsible for their own security, which usually means arming themselves. And you don't necessarily want people to know that your salary is big. And the other thing Eric Gomez said, D-Star, which I think is important to mention, is that they only show the gross pay. They don't show the net pay. They don't show what you actually earned after taxes, after paying your managers and your promoters and your trainers and everything else, what you walk away with if you're a Jose Linares, or Jorge Linares, sorry, or even a Canelo is much less than the reported pay that you see in the newspapers. But the criminals don't know that. And the criminals see what Dan Rafael, who I used to call Fat Man Scoop, not the DJ, but he scoops up the stories and he's a little bit on the big side. So I coined that term for him. But he's just reporting these things very irresponsibly.
Andre Ward called him out one time when he reported one of Andre Ward's purse. He's like, damn, Dan, you have to tell him about my private.
I'll never forgive him for what he did to Rigo. The guy spent years essentially writing a once a week opinion about how boring Rigo is and how much Rigo sucks.
He called Andre Ward Andre Board. He called Andre Ward Andre Board.
Yeah.
Wow. Hey, G-Fucky, talk to us, man. Well, what are your overall thoughts on Canelo's brother being kidnapped? That's the first time I heard about it. And him having to negotiate with basically these terrorists, in my opinion. Right. And also, what are your overall thoughts on, the fact that they know Canelo made all this money? Is it a coincidence that it was right after they knew he got this big deal from the zone? I don't know. But, what's your thought on, fighters' pay perhaps being held private?
Well, on the first part, it's not really shocking to hear something like that happen, where Canelo's from. Unfortunately, it's pretty bad in some places down there in Mexico right now, which is why I'm staying far away myself. So it's just not a shock, man, to hear something like this happen. As far as putting these guys' pay out there, that should not be public information, man. I'm sorry, it just shouldn't. You guys know me, and a lot of guys that are in the chat know. I could give two shits about the business side of boxing because I'm not involved in it. I just watch the damn fights. That's it. I don't care about what these guys make, what their contracts or on all that other bullshit says. I don't care, man. That's none of my concern. What these guys have in their bank is none of my concern. I got my own money. I make my own living, and I'm comfortable. So I don't need to know all this crap. And I don't know why fans want to know it. This is the weirdest shit to me ever. Like, we're living in an era where fans are just obsessed with the wrong things when it comes to boxing. Like, who cares how much money this guy makes? Like, are you interested in him? You trying to date him or something? My guy's got to have all the money. Like, who cares? Who gives a damn? And look what it's doing, man. I remember that interview on the Leaving in the Ring with Roberto Diaz, that's his name, from Golden Boy, where he said that Linares had a brother who was kidnapped as well because, they saw how much money he was making. So they got to stop this, man. And you fans out there especially, you got to stop wanting to know how much money these guys are making. Who gives a damn? All you need to care about is if this guy is going to fight this guy. That's it. Who cares about how much money they're making, man? This is bullshit.
Man, Christine, follow that up, Christine. What are your thoughts on his brother getting kidnapped, number one? And also, what are your thoughts on, the whole fighter pay being out there and you're muted? I can't unmute you because you muted yourself.
I think it's horrible. It's like these guys, they have to deal with so much stress as it is. You have to get ready for the fight. You have to worry about everything that's going on around you. You have to worry about weight loss and the training and everything. And then you have to worry about this other stuff too. It's too much. I mean, mentally, emotionally, it's too much. And honestly, I agree. We shouldn't worry about how much they're making, and it shouldn't be put out there. We don't know who's watching, who's following the stories, what people are planning. There's a lot of ugly people out there, a lot of evil people, and it's just too much. Who cares? Let's put the best fighters together. That's what we want to see. It's entertainment. And who cares? Who cares what they're making? We make our own money, and I feel sorry for the guys that are making the big bucks and their family members are being kidnapped. I can't even imagine what they go through. I don't want to imagine. It's just bullcrap. It really is. So I'm totally against putting it out there. I will never do that myself.
And like I had a friend that won a scratch off, right? It was just 30,000, right? Which is, hey, I say just, but I wouldn't mind winning that, you know. But like
Right.
he let a lot of people know, and like somebody literally broke into his house, like that weekend. You know what I mean? Like imagine like if it's just, it doesn't have to be a high profile fighter. Let's say it's a prospect, and he just made $100,000, and he's still living at his parents' house because he hasn't made that big money yet, right? So like, what do you think could happen? You know, this information shouldn't be out there, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%.
Milcar, you're muted. Yeah.
I was just agreeing with you, D-Style. I agree with you 100% on that. That's some things don't need to be made public, and again, they're not being paid by the public purse. They're not being paid by the taxpayer. Why does this need to be released? And that's also on the commissions, because the commissions do it. And honestly, let's face facts. Promoters do it. How many times have you heard De La Hoya bragging about how much money he got for Canelo? You know, and that was sent all over. The 300 whatever $1 million it was that he earned. Canelo never put that out. I've never even heard Canelo speak about that. But the Zone and definitely put it out, as did Golden Boy, because it served their interest to do so.
Absolutely, man. Beeb, talk to us. What do you make of Canelo's brother getting kidnapped and this whole fighter money thing being public? Do you feel different about it?
I think it's horrible that happened to Canelo's brother. I think it's disgusting, but I rail against the media because I blame the boxing media. I just popped open my Google News feed here, right? The top story here is Tyson Fury's wild offer to Anthony Joshua in $360 million super fight. I blame the journalists. I go on Twitter. I see friggin' idiot Coppinger with this $150 million site fee. And then you call up Bob Arum and you ask him questions about, like, when Tyson Fury, the whole thing with the $100 million offer or whatever, that deal that he got with ESPN. And then Bob Arum says, I don't know who reported that. I don't know what Tyson Fury's making for every fight. Like, these journalists just pick numbers out of the air because somebody says something to them, right? And this is what we have. We don't even know if half these numbers that are being reported are even true. To me, they seem like they're grossly exaggerated, right? Anyone could put sources in front of everything now, and that's a story. And Milcar and myself talked about that several times, you know? So you go on, you look at all these stories here, you go on a Twitter timeline and look for boxing stories. All you hear about is money, 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 money from people like Coppinger and all the other idiots on there. And the thing is these guys are the problem, more so than the promoters, because the promoters aren't the ones giving them the figures, because the promoters have no obligation to give them the numbers. Kugan Cassius asked Eddie Hearn today about the $150 million site fee, and Eddie Hearn wouldn't answer him. So most promoters really don't like to talk about the money. They really don't. But there's people in the camp that are in certain groups, whether they be attached to a fighter or not, they may say something. And automatically, regardless of how credible that person is, they run with the story. So-and-so's making this, I heard that, rumors, sources say. Then when you hear Eddie Hearn being interviewed, or you hear Bob Arum being interviewed, they're not going to confirm any of these figures that are being reported. So I blame the press. Boxing media really is destroying this sport more than anything. It's boxing media. It's not the fighters. It's not really the promoters. It's not the networks. It's the media that's destroying this. That's destroying it.
Beeb, you telling me the guy that sweeps up the gym for Tyson Fury is not a reliable source?
No, he's not. The guy that's told to go to Subway and fetch the subs and coffee, he's not a reliable source.
Hey, guys, we have hit the 12th and final round, and that means final thoughts, okay? Beeb, to talk the final round, touch gloves, and give us some final thoughts.
Well, we have a lot of problems in the sport of boxing. We have a lot of problems in all sports. You know, I don't think it's going to be solved overnight, but I have to look at every situation individually. I have to be honest about it. If sometimes the product is good, but at what expense did they have to, did they have to get to that point where to make the product good? I'm not arguing against that, but if the product is good, the product is good. I'm not, it's a separate issue from, whether or not the fighters are getting what they're supposed to be getting. I've said for years, I've never really liked Dana White. I've always criticized the guy. I don't think UFC fighters get paid what they should be getting paid. But I have to say that, that the cards, these last couple cards that I've watched are good. They've been good. I can't lie about that. I can't lie about, a product. Like boxing has really shit the bed this year. We had I've seen like maybe 2 good fights. The Valdez fight and the Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez fight.
What about Chocolatito Estrada?
3 good fights this year.
All right. Well, let's start beef style. We're gonna go around.
So let's not 3 good fights. And again, we can debate the pay model all we want, but the product is still a good product. From a fan's perspective.
I'm sure Mandingo fighting was a good.
Hold on, because these are our final thoughts, brother.
That's a false equivalency, bro.
We're gonna keep it moving. Hey, Pete, are you done with your final thoughts?
I'll ask him one question. Did you watch the pay-per-view last week, UFC?
You're yielding your time.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched it.
Did you think it was a good card?
It was a good card.
Was it better than the boxing card that was on the same night?
No comment.
That means it's a yes.
You talked all about the UFC and you watched the card.
You watched it, right?
All right. Christine.
That's a checkmate, Emil Carr. You got to tip.
Hey, Christine, it's the 12th and final round. It's just you get to speak uninterrupted, everybody. All right.
Uninterrupted.
And
Beep just kills people.
No, guys, I thank y'all for being patient. I thank y'all for being patient with my SIM card. But no, it's always a pleasure being on here and talking boxing with guys that know what they're talking about. I don't know much about UFC, so totally excuse me. I have one UFC champ, Macy Chason, in my gym, and she's a badass. But other than that, I'm all about boxing. We got to fix a lot of things in boxing. Hopefully we can do that. But if not, we're going to just keep enjoying and doing what we do. You have to be a little bit crazy to be in boxing. But I am. So I'm going to keep on going. Thank you.
all right. In the ring with Christine here on YouTube. Chief Funky, talk the final round. Touch gloves. You get to speak uninterrupted, everybody. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, this was fun. I love coming on here and talking with everybody, getting the different perspectives on the topics at hand. Thank everyone for tuning in the chat and everyone that will be tuning in after the show is over. But I just want to say this before I go. I've been here on YouTube now for 10 years. I've seen a lot of ugliness in the YouTube boxing community. So bad that certain people formed their own group because they didn't like the way that things are going, and you know what, that's fine, they can do their own thing. But I want to say that over the last couple weeks, it's really been good to see the channels come together in support for Gonzalo and his little son Mateo, who's currently fighting for his life over in the Philippines. The money that's been raised, I mean, it's been a phenomenal effort by everybody involved. Again, if you guys, if you have anything to give, give what you can. The young guy is fighting for his life really, really hard. And you know what? It's bad enough to be sitting there bedside, because I know that's what they're doing, because that's what I had to do when my daughter was born. Sitting bedside, looking at your child fighting for their life, and there's nothing you can do. And now that you've got financial problems on top of that, makes it even worse, But, we're doing a really good job of getting some money raised for him so that they don't have to worry about this. One less thing to worry about. But trust me, it is not a good place you want to be in. So I just want to say again, it's been a beautiful thing. And don't forget to give a prayer for the young fighter as well. G-Funk's out.
That's right, man. That's right. I posted the link in the chat for anybody who wants to donate anything, $1, $2, whatever you can. When the community gets together, those little amounts, they add up. It's a big deal. So, Maestro, talk the final round, touch gloves. You get to speak uninterrupted. Go ahead. You're interrupting yourself because you're muted. But.
I'm still recovering from Joe's latest blow. But what can I say? I usually don't disagree with the ringside reporters. We had a pretty contentious debate today, which is always good. I think at the end of it, we can all agree that UFC sucks and boxing's better, and that when FC's on the rise and UFC's on the decline. So, by the way, if you guys saw the card yesterday, I actually thought it was pretty good, and I'm not even joking, the one on TNT. But always a pleasure to be on here with everyone. Joe Habib, my man over there, G Funky, Christina, always a pleasure to be with you. And it's always a big episode when the big dog, Eric Lorta, is present. So thank you for being on with us as well. No overtime today. I don't know if you guys can notice, but I'm not at home. So we'll get back to that next week. And thank you for everyone for tuning in tonight. Oh, there's only one Tyson Fury. Forgot to say that.
I mean, look, man, he beat him up so bad. He's singing a song now after the last fight. The bronze bomber over here, But hey, let me say this before I go to Eric. The links in the chat, guys. If you want to donate to Little Mateo there, but man, Amilcar was in a roll today, so UFC is no good, but I watched it. You know what I mean? And Chisora's better than.
Whoa! I gotta clarify.
Chisora's better than Tyson.
I only watched the last fight.
I don't have to put a poll tonight. On which is worse.
You watched it. Don't try to backpedal now.
There's a rumor. There's a rumor you watched the whole card.
There's a rumor you watched Navarrete on DVR. That's what I think you did.
I heard you DVR
the Navarrete. Told me he watched the whole card.
No.
My sources told me.
The guy
I watched Berlanga go to distance.
Walked in there at 10.
Nah, I watched Berlanga go to distance. I saw Navarrete do his thing.
You don't have to prove it to us, brother. I get it. But
you read an article. You read a recap article.
Yeah, but check it out. This is my final thought. So everybody shut up. Check it out. Okay? All right? Look, at the end of the day, I just wanted to say this about Navarrete, man. This dude is like, I don't know how. Like, I don't know, like, what type of game plan you plan. Like, how do you prepare for that dude? I don't know. I saw this guy, like, you guys were saying you saw better stuff in the UFC. Nah, I didn't see a dude in the UFC glide in the air and land uppercuts, and then glide in the air and land hooks, and mid-air, like feint a hook and then land an uppercut in mid-air.
He's special.
I didn't see that in the UFC.
And switch to southpaw seamlessly.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like, that's all I got to say about that. Okay, Eric Lorda, go ahead and close out with your final thoughts, uninterrupted, of course. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Of course. The big fight this weekend: Arreola and Ruiz. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your money.
Whoa!
I'm telling you what. Just catch the YouTube replay. Go read the fight recaps. Whatever you got to do.
Whoa.
Don't waste your money on this. And hey, man, listen, the big news of today, the biggest news that we could possibly get, Jamar Chase coming to the Cincinnati Bengals, son. Super Bowl champs.
No one cares.
Super Bowl champs right here, son.
No one cares.
That's right. Title Town,
I'm not
son.
a football girl.
Respect it.
I think that one, like, overcame
the Bengals. You'll like them. That's it.
Yeah.
Like we'll have to put that one in the poll too.
I'm a casual.
Hey, with that said, guys, I appreciate everyone that came in. This is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. Peace out.